Hey, hello everyone. This is Josh with Handyman Services. We are here at a client's house looking to do some insulation in their attic above their garage. There is none, so they get really bad heat transfer from the attic to the garage space, which then in turn heats up these walls, and they get heat transfer from the inside of the house as well, including their basement stairs, which like to go down this wall, and that transfers to the other side. So when you're going down to the basement, it gets a little warm, and we're going to take care of that. We got a bunch of spraying insulation. We don't have a blower, so we're going to puff it up and throw it in. But that's the adventure we're about to start on, and I'm going to try to take you guys with me for a little bit of it. Probably won't be able to see all of it, but I'll get you a good view. But all right, let's go look at it. All right, this is the insulation we're using. It is Sanctuary by Green Fiber, sound and thermal, and fire, of course. And we've got enough to do about 44R above the garage here. And we gotta go there. Here's Isaac pulling down the ladder right now. All right, I'll show you what it looks like upstairs. All right, here we are in the attic. It's a long one. Probably should have brought a flashlight. But you can see my footprints from when I did the estimate. So that's a good start. Now it seems like there's that seems good. Seems like there's no Christmas supplies in the way, which we probably need to move out of the way. Let's do that. Be back. All right. So this is the little makeshift path. They had a wall top plate right here. Oh, it's the top plate. It looks like just a little sway bar they put there. We can walk on. I put 3 other 2x4s here. And then there's this little gap right here where there's just one 2x4. I've been stacking up the insulation on the other side of this. Isaac's walking across his little tightrope all the way to the end there, one bag at a time. I'm gonna take you down there and show you what it looks like. Get an idea of what the problem is. It's quite obvious when you see it. He was thinking that there was no insulation in his walls because his walls were getting so hot. And so I was like, well, have you checked the attic? He said, well, not particularly. But you'd think there would be insulation up there because there's insulation in the normal spot in the attic because he's put his Christmas lights up in there. But then I went up there and I saw this. Just a plain old Jane sheetrock framed attic space. No insulation installed. And this is where he's getting all his heat. Right here. What'd you say, Isaac?
No installation.
We gonna take care of it? All right. Let's get to it. So we found a window. And we opened it. Now it's lighter. And we got some airflow.
I ain't letting go. My hand is going to be on something at all times. I do not like this.
Yeah, you should always have 3 points of contact. It's a good idea. So here, we got about 2 bags poured in. That covers about that much. Looks like we're gonna need probably about 15, 20 to cover this whole space. The deep as we need it. Isaac over there ripping up with the bag, spreading it out. And so it looks like we're done. All right, looks like we got it all filled in. Looking good. Nice and 44R-ish. Nice and thick. They should definitely have a cooler garage now. And they'll be happy. So yeah, next job, shiplap, hidden door. All right, we're here at our shiplap job. We're just marking the lines for the studs, pulling off the trim and all the stuff, and we found a little something. We found mold growing all along the bottom of the sheetrock corresponding with the bottom plate. You can see how it kind of makes a line right there. You can tell it's right at the bottom of right at the top of the bottom plate. So I cut a hole in the sheetrock. Since we're covering up anyway, I can just put it back in with some backing and be good to go. I'm gonna crawl in here. We're gonna look, see if there's anything going on. Cause yeah, we got this big old wall full of utility. Can't crawl through there, so had to make our own way in. Now we're in the mold bin, and we're gonna find out. You have your phone? So I think we found our culprit. See this? All on the bottom of the wall. Looks like that's all gonna have to come out. It's unfortunate. Yep, all the way over there. Doesn't look like we have any on the concrete. I think the bottom plate might be okay. Not too sure. Need to get that sheetrock off and be able to see. All right, we have it all demoed up, lined up, ready to go for the installation of the door tomorrow, the framing. We got to move the return vent over to in between the doors and then do the shiplap. So Whitney is finishing up, my beautiful wife Whitney, right there, finishing up the line, top of the wall. I'll pack it up for the day and come back tomorrow. All right, guys, we got the sheetrock in the base, and we've got the sheetrock around the door, and we got the other two doors squared off with shims, all nice and neat. So they're nice and square and straight, good gaps all the way around. Pulls up nice and smoothly. We've got our trim out here being painted by Whitney. It's all cut to size. Ready to go around the doors and the ends of the walls. We're gonna have a piece of trim right there in the corner. We're gonna have a piece going around this door, around this door. No baseboards, we're going straight shiplap to the floor. This door is going to be hidden in the wall with miter joints. Try to get it as tight as we can. So it's hidden with a little cutout groove on the side from just grab it and pull it open. We're gonna have 8 magnets placed along that side to hold the door shut with 60 pounds of force. And then on this side, we're using pivot hinges on the top and bottom to swing the door from the left side so that it doesn't interfere with the shiplap over here. And that's going to be mitered going that way, or going that way, so that way it can open up to the back. And this side will be mitered this way, so it can open up to the front. And Isaac's screwing in the last bit of screws for the sheetrock. And then we'll get a piece of trim going right there on the end to cap it off. It'll go all the way up to the ceiling. The laser line is our first line of shiplap. And we'll get the trim painted and installed, and I'll show you what that looks like. Hey guys, we're back here on the job site, day 3. 3, 4. I can't remember. It's been so long. Whitney's here finishing up the trim ends so we can go ahead and put them up. That way we know the distance for the shiplap that we need. And yeah, we're gonna get to it. Enjoy. Alrighty, we got our trim all nice and crispy, as I say. Isaac don't like me saying crispy. It's pretty perfect. Same gap all the way around. Got looking very, very good. Alright, let's go look at this piece down here. This is our end cap. We put our little extra piece at the top on the other side. It's way down at the bottom and blend it in with the, but it is even with that wall on the exterior, all the way down to the floor. And next is the door. We got our magnets. These are the magnets that we're going to be using. This plate right here goes on the door, and then this goes on the wall. So it installs right about, door's about 2 inches thick. It's got to be even with the sheetrock, so it's going to be probably about right there, and that's going to stop the door. We're going to have 8 of these possibly. I don't think we're going to need 8, maybe 3, because they're pretty strong magnets. I mean, it takes quite a bit to remove these things. I mean, it's hard for me to do it one-handed, to kind of get it off, and then I can pop it up. But I mean, it's a strong magnet, so keep you posted. Stay tuned. All right, so we're gonna measure the door. This is gonna be about 1 3/4 back, maybe a little bit further. So we're gonna go 1 3/4 off of this wall and mark it on the frame. That'll give us our magnet depth. Needs to be past that mark right there. So let me give myself a couple so I can run a line. Have a groove on that mark, so it really doesn't matter actually. Just need to straight edge. Slipped. Now, I don't even need to know where those are going. I have a little line, I can figure out where they're going. Cut this in thirds, put one every mark. We have an 82.5-inch door opening. I'll split that in half. We've got 41 1/4. We're gonna make our mark 41 1/4. A little bit more down from there. Alright, painting this whole corner the gray color so that if there is a seam at all, it won't shine through. So there's our 3 magnets are going. There's our first one. keep the screw loose. Not going to tighten it all the way down yet. Now I get it flush. Now you want to see that line past the magnet tips. If you don't, then you need to loosen your screw, tap it back a little bit, pop your screw back in. Now you should have the perfect visibility of that line straight past those magnets. And that line represents the edge of your door, so you definitely want that showing. If that's not showing, your door is going to pop out a little bit from the sheetrock, which means your shiplap for your hidden door is not going to be straight, and you ain't going to get paid. To guarantee that these things stay straight is get a clamp it to the back side of this and right here, and you don't have to worry about it moving. You do want to make sure these are tight because there is a door going against it. You don't want this to shake or move over time, because then your shiplap will come out of plumb and you're going to get a call. Warranty something for a year like that Handyman does, that's a problem. Important too to make sure your screws are in the center of those holes. That way you have a maximum amount of adjustment opportunity that you can get, and you don't want the screw moving your metal once it gets tight in. If it's on the side, that slope that's on the back of the head could tilt the item one way or another. You don't want that. And that looks perfect. Now we can get the door, slap it in and see if it goes right to it. What we need to adjust. If we need to adjust, it's easy. We left it able to do so. Pretty heavy door. Looks like we get a pretty flush reaction. That looks good. I think I'm satisfied. It can actually come out a little bit, which is great because we still have these to put on. And they're about a 1/16 of an inch thick, which is about the difference that we have between the door and the sheetrock. So. All right, now we got the magnets in. We are trying to figure out what we're gonna do for the bottom of the door. So I'm cutting a 1x3, well Whitney's cutting a 1x3 to fit where the bottom plate would normally go before the door was there. All right, look at it real quick. Because we need something to lift up the door and also kind of hide the gap at the bottom. So I don't know whether I'm going to put a whole 2x4 back in there and paint it the same color as the shiplap, because we're going to paint all of this whole corner around the same color on the inside. But we need something at the bottom that would block the light from coming out if the light stays on or has an automatic off. I don't know what kind of light they're using. So I want to get something down there that the door can kind of close up too and seal. So that's what we're figuring out now. I think she's going to bring it in here. We're going to see how it fits. I'll let you know. It's hard to push. All right, so we've gotten all the boards on. Got it all painted, sealed up with wood filler, and now just gotta wait for the wood filler to dry, and we can just touch up the paint and be good to go. Still a little messy. Still got some nail holes to cover with paint there. I went ahead and touched up the paint on this side. We're gonna go ahead and broad paint it afterwards. Make sure all the little wipes from the wood putty go away. That way it's in one nice solid color going all the way across. We ended up cutting a hinge slot in the door so it opens better. And this is still mitered, so it's a little more concealed. We gotta carve a handle in the side. It's really tough to open, but that's by design. Got the side painted so it's a little more hidden. Gotta paint that little spot down there. Yeah. Stay tuned. that's done. It was fun. We had some issues, but we solved them. There was the mold in the beginning we found. That got fixed pretty quick. We just took the sheetrock out. The bottom plate wasn't messed up by it. It's just because the sheetrock was touching the concrete. If you're ever finishing next to concrete, don't put the sheetrock on it. Put a little shim up underneath it to get the sheetrock to lift up off the concrete at least half an inch. It's always a good rule of thumb. That way you don't have to deal with, cutting the bottom of your sheetrock out. They probably have that problem in most of their basement or anything that was finished by the people that finished that section of wall. Which is probably the entire basement. We looked at one other spot, it didn't look like it was moldy, but you never know. It could be under the paint. Whatever. Driving, so I'm not really looking at the camera. I'm going to look at the road. I just wanted to talk about this. The door that we had originally was someone that he had taken out of his house that he had on hand, sitting in his garage for a while. We put it in and it seemed to fit up nice to the door opening that I made and flush to the wall. And then I looked down at the bottom right hand corner and I noticed that it was kicked out a little bit and protruding from the wall, a little bit, a quarter inch or something. And so we found a $124 wooden slab door. It was panel covered, perfect for that kind of thing. It was flush. Now we put it in. It looked really good. Little different size. So we had to modify some things to get it in there, and it worked. We got the magnets adjusted more back from the door. Put a 2x4 back in there to be a door jamb for that side of the door. The hinge we used was a pivot hinge. It pivoted on the left side of the door to where the very left side would go in and then the right side would come out at you. And that looked good. Unfortunately, it wanted to catch a lot. The hinge that we wanted was $2,000. It would have made the door come out and then move over to the side. That would have been really nice, but it was very expensive, so we decided not to go that route. We could have mitered both sides out towards the edge of the room and it would have pretty much blended. The wood that we wanted to get was $1,500. We ended up going with the wood at Home Depot, which was like half the price. Unfortunately, that comes with bent boards, stuff like that. We did the best we could to pick the straightest ones they had. I probably sat there and looked through them for an hour. Couldn't find any that were of decent, straightness. We found a few, but we did what we could and adjusted what we had to adjust. But it all turned out really well. Customer was very satisfied. He knew that because of the materials that we had, that we couldn't fully conceal the door because of the wood not being perfectly straight. It's really hard to miter those joints together. But we got it as good as we could. We hid what we couldn't get perfect, and he was happy with it. So we did that. We also did the attic installation. He called me up. He had installation people out there. He had 2 other handymen out there, and they told him all. They just gave him a quote for putting insulation in the walls, taking out sheetrock, and all that stuff. And I went in there, and I know just from experience that you can't pass an inspection without insulation on your exterior walls. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, he has to have insulation in these walls, and but there's a possibility it's not in the ceiling. And so we stuck a screwdriver in each of the walls, and I was able to see the insulation that twisted around. Some comes out with the screwdriver, show them, and apparently even the insulation guys didn't even check. We just sealed up the holes and went along our day. But it was a fun job to do. It was very satisfying to watch it all come together in the end. But yeah, I appreciate all of you watching, and hopefully these videos will get better quality over time. I'm new at this, so if you like this, please subscribe.